I'm Queen Sylvie of the multiple award winning The Queen Sylvie Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Sylvie or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah.
Are you tired of driving around a dirty car? Say hello to the ultimate solution for your car. Quick Auto Detail, home, work, or wherever. Their mobile car spa will clean and shine your car anytime and anywhere. Their products are gentle on your car's paint, and they use only the highest quality materials. Book your appointment now.
Hey kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy it. Remember, lots of adults and kids, too, paid admission to enjoy the show. We must insist on absolute quiet.
Okay, you gotta cut this crap out now, Vladimir. It's gonna start to make me look bad. Plus, the less things J.D. Vance has to talk about, the better, frankly.
Fine, I'll stop war where it is now. But what do I get for it?
You mean like in addition to half of Ukraine or whatever?
Yes, in addition to like that or whatever.
I thought you might play hardball, Vladimir. So I have a deal for you. Something beautiful. Some might say it's pie in the sky, but
Tell me more.
your very own sphere of influence.
Uh-huh.
The true satellite state you've been missing for so long.
Interesting. I'm listening.
No, you should be looking. Looking out the window and up into the night sky.
No way.
Way. I always said I'd offer you the moon one day, Vladimir.
Donald, you shouldn't have.
No, I really shouldn't have, you know.
But wait, Donald, you don't actually own Moon.
What am I, a gift horse? You don't actually own Ukraine, Vladimir, but that's not stopping us here, is it?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Hey, what is happening, everybody, and welcome to another hump day on Tim's Tidbits. I certainly appreciate you all tuning in, and hope you enjoyed tonight's show. And there's all kinds of things going on, you know. Hey, if you didn't have a chance last night to tune into the Jimmy Kimmel show, he got to do his return onto ABC, and actually had 8.5 million views on last night's show with him. And even though we had a couple of ABC affiliates that were playing hardball, Sinclair Broadcasting and Nexstar Broadcasting, you know, they cover about 70 stations around the United States. It did not broadcast the Kimball show last night. It's interesting, there are some senators asking some questions, you know, like, why not? You know, why are you still suppressing what we construe as freedom of speech? But anyhow, Sinclair is in a $6.2 million acquisition of Tegla, and that has to be approved by the FCC. And Nexstar is also hinting that they want to do some, let's call it acquisitions of other stations, and all this has to be approved by the FCC. So, you know, In the FCC, if you watched last week's show, the chairman said, you got to do it the easy way or the hard way to get these comedians off the air and other shows that may be offensive to the current POTUS. But anyhow, are we living in this type of a culture now, or around the world, that there's still things going on all over the place? And, are we, migrating from what we would call a democracy into, some type of a dictatorship, authoritarian rule to where, everything is going to be centralized or going to be scrutinized and it's going to be censored? And who knows? But, the current POTUS ran on the premise that he was going to allow us to say whatever we want and never take away any of our rights. And we see some of those diminishing already when you talk about some of the programs that have been cut. But let's take a look what Don had to say not too long ago.
I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America.
Shockwaves across Hollywood tonight after ABC announced it was indefinitely pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air.
They told us the cancel culture was the left's weapon. But look around. It's the right doing the canceling now. The FCC chair, a Trump ally, attacks Kimmel on a mega podcast.
I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct and take action, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Within hours, Nexstar pulls his show. Billions of dollars and political favors hanging in the balance. The timing, shady.
It's not the fragility of audiences, it's the fragility of leaders. Comedy doesn't change the world, but it's a bellwether. We're the banana peel in the coal mine. When a society is under threat, comedians are the ones who get sent away first.
This isn't about Jimmy Kimmel. It's about the government turning into a mob to silence dissent.
This morning, President Trump is suggesting the Federal Communications Commission should take licenses away from broadcasters that are repeatedly critical of him.
About power crushing free speech.
We all see where this is going, correct? It's managed media. You can't go around firing somebody because you're fearful or trying to suck up to an authoritarian criminal administration in the Oval Office.
Authoritarians don't just come for comedians.
We're not done yet.
They come for democracy itself. We're the Lincoln Project. We won't quit. Join us.
Right. Hey, do not let them suppress your freedom of speech. You never know what's next to go. Like I said earlier, before that video, you've lost a lot of the benefits that can go to the needy, and those are all being cut. The benefits that are going to the study to prevent, diseases, that's all being cut. And now apparently, Trump has a war on Tylenol, saying that it is part of the cause of autism if a pregnant mother takes it. So an unfounded claim, but, supported by and brought to his desk by JFK Jr., our Secretary of Human and Health Services, or Health and Human Services, rather. Anyhow, since Trump brought it up about freedom of speech, I have a little commentary that I would like to share with you from Jim Ruttenberg. He is a writer with the New York Times, and he had a little something to say about what's happening to us in this cancel culture when it comes to especially suppressing some of our late-night shows because, they may offend some individuals. Check it on out.
President Trump got thunderous applause during his second inaugural address when he vowed to immediately stop all government censorship and bring free speech back to America.
After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America.
It was part of the free speech refrain of his long march out of the political wilderness and his broadsides against cancel culture. Yet now he is conducting the most punishing crackdown against American media institutions in modern times, using what seems like every tool at his disposal to silence reporting and commentary that he disagrees with. ABC's decision on Wednesday to indefinitely suspend Jimmy Kimmel's late-night show for comments he made about Charlie Kirk's assassin show Trump's strategy so far.
He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Far from deploring the silencing of a comedian, the president celebrated Kimmel's suspension, calling it great news for America. Trump had already used his leverage to win multi-million-dollar settlements from CBS and ABC in suits that, according to legal experts, faced long odds in court. When the president sued my own company this past week, the New York Times, his lawyers pointed to the settlements from CBS and ABC as a vindication that his suits were highly meritorious.
All they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party.
On Thursday, President Trump called Jimmy Kimmel a whack job and said that regulators should revoke broadcast licenses over other late-night hosts who are critical of him. And that will bring the country into uncharted new territory, with the future of free speech in America hanging in the balance.
And there it is. You run on one platform, and then when you get into office, you decide to exercise your authoritarianism, write an executive order, and just cancel all that out. Anyhow, are we, moving into an authoritarian government, from our current democracy to where we actually have a voice, Are we, and look what's happening, with our gerrymandering, where they're messing around with the voting congressional maps. We don't want our politicians, to elect us. We want to elect our politicians. So, some people have a problem with the next person I want to show you as far as his response to freedom of speech. And he's more, I would say, socialist leaning, whereas, in our current democracy, you have, industries that own big chunks of everything. In a socialist society, you have your, a share, everybody has a share in the society, so to speak. So, anyhow, that's kind of Bernie's leaning. He thinks education should be free, healthcare should be free, a lot of along with that, I guess, a socialist attitude. But in any regards, some people like him, some people hate him, but Bernie usually has a point when it comes to some of the trespasses that we are currently suffering as citizens of the good old U.S. of A.
In these very troubling times, we hear a lot of talk about freedom. So let's say a word about freedom. We now have a president of the United States who just the other day said, and I quote, "I have read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I would think maybe their license should be taken away," end of quote. Really? Mr. President, that's not freedom, that's authoritarianism. Last I heard, under our Constitution, which you swore to uphold, the American people are allowed to criticize the president. The media is allowed to criticize the president or anybody else. We now have a Trump-appointed Federal Communications Commissioner, FCC, named Mr. Carr, who celebrated getting Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air and then threatened other shows saying, "We're not done yet." Hey, Mr. Carr, that's not freedom. That's precisely what happens in authoritarian societies. So let us be honest, let's be clear about what is going on. Trump has sued and tried to intimidate ABC, CBS, the Associated Press, PBS cut their funding, NPR cut their funding, anybody who covers him critically. And just the other day, he filed a $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. They got Stephen Colbert off the air. They got Jimmy Kimmel off the air. And we are seeing Trump's friends now take over CBS and maybe CNN. Freedom of the press and our First Amendment is what sets us apart from tin pot dictatorships. That's what our kids learn in the 4th grade. But apparently that is not the case anymore. What's going on right now sounds more like Vladimir Putin's Russia. It sounds more like Mohammed bin Salman's Saudi Arabia. Under Trump, we are seeing a very strong movement in this country toward authoritarianism, and his attacks against the media are part of that process. So, let me make a simple request of my Republican colleagues. If you don't have the guts to stand up to Donald Trump and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, please just stop using the word freedom. Freedom is not just saying nice things or agreeing with those in power. Freedom is not just flattering the President of the United States and telling them how great he is. Freedom is the right to express your point of view, no matter what that may be, without government interference. Maybe what you're saying is right. Maybe what you're saying is wrong. Maybe what you're saying is brilliant. Maybe what you're saying is dumb. But in the United States of America, what our Constitution is about is having the right to say it. And we must not allow anybody to take away that basic freedom, that most important freedom, away from us. There is a reason why freedom of speech is the First Amendment to our Constitution, not the Fifth, not the 10th. It is the First Amendment because the founders of this country, correctly, in their wisdom, knew that you cannot maintain a free society without the right to speak openly without fear of intimidation. That's what they understood then. It was true then. It is true today. So let me conclude by saying this. I don't care what your political point of view is. If you're a progressive, great. If you're a moderate, great. If you're a conservative, great. You're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're independent. It doesn't matter what your political point of view may be. This is the moment, no matter what our politics may be, for us to stand together and protect our Constitution and the fundamental freedoms that make us a great country. Thank you all very much.
Yep. Hey, it's time to stand up and let your voice be heard. Don't let your speech be suppressed, you know. You may or may not agree with the guy, the POTUS with the beautiful blonde hair and the tan better than any girl on Baywatch, for sure. You may not agree with everything, or you may totally agree with the man. I don't know, but you still have to have the ability to express yourself here. You know, and if you don't like what's being said, you can easily turn on your heels and walk the other way. You don't have to listen to it. Or you can turn the channel, whatever it takes. You don't need to have cancel culture where, hey, Colbert's off the air. Thank God that Jimmy Kimmel's back on. And hopefully they won't go in after any of the others. We'll see what happens. But it has a trickle-down effect. We know that it has a trickle-down effect. In fact, it's kind of an interesting trickle-down effect to where a pastor had a real hard issue with we call him a far-right pastor, had an issue with a yard sign and demanded it be taken down. And when he even transcends into the church, it's getting crazy, folks.
Hate has no home here. Seems like a harmless message, but now in a major escalation following the Charlie Kirk assassination, a far-right pastor is calling on his critics to take down those signs. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. That pastor, Andrew Isker, is part of an effort to establish a Christian nationalist community here in Middle Tennessee. Now he's equating those hate has no home signs with a call for political violence.
At the same time, he's calling for vengeance against people he perceives to be his enemies. Our chief investigative reporter, Phil Williams, has been monitoring this group that is planting roots in Jackson County, about 90 minutes northeast of Nashville. And Phil, this is really quite an escalation in the rhetoric.
It is, and you can understand. Andrew Isker is understandably horrified by the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But while he's calling for the left to tone down its rhetoric, he doesn't appear to be ready to do the same.
Blood cries out from the ground for justice.
In this sermon posted online, far-right pastor Andrew Isker, who's leading an effort to establish a Christian nationalist community in Jackson County, Tennessee, expresses anger over the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk and the response of some liberals, arguing that now is not the time for America, in the words of Jesus, to love your enemy.
This great evil must not be tolerated. It must be rooted out and eradicated.
And in a post in a Jackson County Facebook group, Isker compares himself to Kirk, saying his views are more or less the same as the slain activists, and claiming that as a result of my, what he calls irresponsible reporting, he has received multiple death threats. I checked with both the Jackson County Sheriff and Gainesboro Police, where Isker's office is located, and both said he had never reported any such threats to them. Still, Isker takes aim at the "Hate Has No Home in Jackson County" signs that have sprung up around the area, telling his neighbors that those signs, quote, mean you support violence against people you hate. He adds, if you really believe the rhetoric needs to be toned down, you will show it by putting these signs away.
We're building a town. We're building a community there.
Our News Channel 5 investigation has drawn directly from the words of Isker and his podcast co-host C.J. Engel. Isker has downplayed the murders of 14-year-old Emmett Till, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd, and he has declared that the very concept of racism was literally a creation of communists. He has repeatedly mocked members of the LGBTQ community, saying here that the answer is to put these people in jail.
This conversation probably has piqued a lot of interest for a lot of people. And
the podcasters have platformed guests known for spreading anti-Semitic notions, while Isker has dismissed anti-Semitism as a 20th century slur. And here in a podcast titled, Guys, You Gotta Get Over Hitler, he agreed with far-right Christian pastor Joel Webbin that Jews should be treated as second-class citizens, in his words, as foster children.
They get to ride in the car.
Yeah.
And be treated respectfully in the car, but they don't get to drive.
It's like having a family, and you have foster children in your family, right? You wouldn't even give your own children the credit card or the family budget, but you're definitely not giving it to the foster child.
But like the uproar over late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, Isker argues for going after journalists who say bad things about people like him.
Media organizations who accuse Christians of spreading hate or fascism or white supremacy or whatever slurs they wish to use, they must lose their broadcast license and be subject to broadened defamation laws. Extreme action must be taken.
And on X, Isker shared a post from an account that demands declare a state of emergency. Every leftist needs to be purged from every institution, remove them from their positions, confiscate their assets. The post continues, the Democrat Party needs to be declared a criminal organization, freeze their assets, remove their politicians from office, strike down their laws. And if that sounds like Isker is ready to abandon democracy, he doesn't seem to care.
Nowhere in the Bible does it prescribe liberal democracy as God's form of government, as the ideal form of government.
As for his future here in Jackson County, Isker's words regarding those no-hate signs are ominous. Gainesboro is my home now. I am not leaving, he writes. If the hate is me and I am not leaving, no home here means the only way I don't have a home here is if someone kills me. And in a podcast that ran late this afternoon, Isker doubled down even more on his rhetoric, saying, quote, when you accuse someone of preaching hate, they are saying, I hope somebody puts a bullet in your neck. That's what that means. As for his call for vengeance, he does make the point in that sermon that he doesn't think any individual ought to go out and seek vigilante justice on their own. Instead, he argues that the Trump administration should be doing that job, which we've seen recently. There may be some inclination to go after people whose speech they don't like.
Well, Phil, Andrew Isker talks about toning down the rhetoric as some of his not fans toning down their rhetoric, but has he, as a pastor, someone who should be really in tune with humility and love for others, has he shown any sign of toning down his?
None that I have found, and in fact, in that podcast that I just watched moments ago, he calls for journalists to be shaking in their boots.
Tough times indeed. You're going to continue to follow.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.
And they certainly are weaponizing the government against us and the FCC, going after the various late-night shows and other shows, and we've seen what has already been canceled. And this trickle-down effect even goes the other way. Let's say that somebody's offended by, I don't know, the Democrats' merchandise that they happen to be handing out, selling who knows what to try to raise some funds. And it may be offensive, may not be offensive. It all depends on, I guess your perspective on the situation. But in any regards, in Ashland County, Ohio, the sheriff is considering filing some criminal charges against some of the individuals representing the Democratic Party, I guess, maybe at their county fair. Let's check this one out.
As we monitor current dialogue about political violence and free speech, we're looking into an issue at the Ashland County Fair. People behind the Democratic Party booth at the fair were asked to leave because of offensive buttons. Morgan Trout was there today with both sides, finding out why fair officials say they made that decision.
When you go to the fair, you expect a family-friendly day in the sun, but some Ohioans told us that was not what they got due to a now shut down booth.
Shameful, it's unfortunate. It's very inappropriate. And that's the exact opposite of what we need in our country right now.
The Ashland County Democratic Party stall was full of buttons, ones that disturbed county fairgoer Dan Kaufman. And Sheriff Kurt Schneider says they broke the fair rules.
Was a red ball cap with felon across the top of it, and is he dead yet? And some other innuendos about his obituary, and we're referring to the President of the United States. Also a number, 8647, which is removal of the president.
Schneider says that fair officials asked the Democrats to put away those specific buttons. But more complaints came, which he says showed that they were still out there. So the Dems were escorted out by law enforcement. The booth next door says they're glad they're gone.
I agree. People should be able to say what they want. And I also agree that there is proper times.
On the other side of the aisle, a memorial sign for conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated earlier this month. The party Democrats declined to comment, saying they were waiting to speak with their lawyer.
A strict message of division and strife.
Schneider says that he reported the incident to the Secret Service, and his department is looking into possible criminal charges, as he and Kaufman thought they were threatening.
Well, anybody can say anything, right? But then what's the consequences of what you say? This kind of nonsense, I can go somewhere else.
Fair should be a place to unite, Kaufman says, not divide.
And we have to come together. We really do.
The sheriff says he's going to keep us updated on the next steps. At the Ashland County Fair, I'm Morgan Trout reporting.
See, it may be offensive to some, others it may not be offensive. It's all perspective, folks, and it should be protected by your freedom of speech. As I said, you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. You can turn around, you don't have to listen to it. It's real simple. And, they've been talking Charlie Kirk, and it is unfortunate today. He was assassinated, and yes, that is horrible and horrific, and he left a wife and children behind, and that individual should be dealt with accordingly. You should never resort to violence and or take another person's life. Come on, that's even written in the Bible. Thou shalt not kill, folks. But keep it down, keep it under control just a little bit. And let's get a little insight on Charlie Kirk and why some of his rhetoric may or may not be offensive, again, to some people. Again, you see the pastor, out of Jackson County, Tennessee, where they're trying to create a secular society there. And he had a lot of agreement with Charlie's opinions and objectives and trying to make some changes in the United States. Let's take a quick look at what Charlie Kirk was saying, what some of his rhetoric was, what may be offensive and or not offensive to some individuals. Check it on out. Charlie Kirk, in his own words.
And I'll tell you one more thing that's on my mind tonight, and conservatives everywhere. The idea that people are saying, well, he was an extremist, or he was a racist, or he was a Nazi, or a misogynist, whatever. Charlie Kirk was a mainstream conservative Republican. He had views that are held by tens of millions of people, including more than half the country in the last election.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. It begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. And in the spirit of affirmative action, we have Ramon and Cadillac are your two pilots. They've never flown before, but they are black. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. The war on white people continues. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. We are raising a generation of weak people like Simone Biles. LeBron James is a self-interested, narcissistic, and we know he's not very smart. You're representing your nation. You're selfish sociopath. Not very bright, not wise, not somebody of good character. She is a shame to the country. Blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today. Data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. Let's get loud for Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm also going to offer some context and some nuance about the death of George Floyd that no one dares to say out loud, which is that this guy was a scumbag. Remember what BLM stands for? Burn, loot, and murder. Now, does that mean it deserves to die? That's two totally different things. Of course not. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. There's no such thing as white privilege or racism. So black people are allowed to talk about black culture in a way that white culture cannot. Black people can come up and say that there's a baby mama problem in black America, and white people are not allowed to say that. Oh, I just did. So what are you going to do, cancel me? Black people are allowed to say, I'm a grown man, I got way black people are allowed. Skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh, wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King. This guy is not worthy of a national holiday. There's a mythology around MLK that does not warrant the reverence that he gets treated with in America. We have a federal holiday to a guy that talked about race all the time. Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true. We celebrate the Civil Rights Act more than the American founding. The country made a mistake when it passed the Civil Rights Act. Also true. The Democrats are not lifting a finger to remember the well over 100 people that have died in Texas Hill Country. The death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI. Ketanji Brown Jackson is what your country looks like on critical race theory. You're gonna remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian. Ketanji Brown Jackson is an embodiment of the tyranny that we currently live under. She's an ideological, unintelligent, yet confident fanatic. Why does Kirk believe passing the Civil Rights Act was a mistake? Now, again, apparently they don't listen to the show because we do that at least once a week, right? So she wants to be the first ever black woman on the Supreme Court, yet she won't even admit that she's a woman. The transgender movement is an introductory phase. These doctors need to be put in prison to get you to strip yourself of your humanity. A Nuremberg-style trial to mesh with machines. Interestingly, I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree. Reject feminism. Young women need to get married at a younger age and start having kids. I'm studying sociology. No, you're not. We know why you're here. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge. You will find a husband if you have the intent to find a husband. You got to change your name. If not, you don't really mean it.
Democrat women want to die alone without children.
A lot of them are on birth control too, and birth control really screws up female brains, by the way.
It's really rich. I didn't know women not to complain 50 years ago. That's funny. We should tell them to stop freezing their eggs and start finding their partner earlier and have lots of babies.
Every single one of you need to make sure that your loved ones are not on birth control. So materially insane to think that 1 in 5 American women will be raped in their life.
It is, I agree.
No, meaning that they're lying about being raped.
You're comparing abortion to the Holocaust.
Absolutely I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse. Because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies. By the way, this is my other problem with death penalty. It takes too long, too many appeals. It should be public, it should be quick, it should be televised. At what age should you start to see public execution?
16. I think you could do it earlier. I think you maybe at age 12.
I want to watch that execution. That'll make my day better. A lot. I mean, Joe Biden is a bumbling, dementia-filled, Alzheimer's, corrupt tyrant who should honestly be put in prison and or given the death penalty for his crimes against America. The Democrat Party believes everything that God hates. We're dealing with maggots, vermin, and swine here. These are not good people. They're not even a little bit good. In fact, I know people that went to Haiti passively as agnostic atheists, and they came back searching for Jesus because they saw legit demonic activity. Kamala Harris wants to see the elimination of the United States of America.
Democrat Party supports everything that God hates.
There's not much you can do, folks. You have a government that hates you. You have a traitor as the president. Buy weapons. I keep on saying that. As top Republicans reject any link between GOP rhetoric and Paul Pelosi assault. If some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. Native-born Americans, you better buy weapons, everybody. Have a lot of guns at your disposal. I would never leave your home without a weapon.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
We actually need looser gun laws because I think that laws.
Oh yeah, they said we have more guns at the Turning Point HQ than you could imagine. Yeah, if anyone ever tries to come, that will not end well. Oh no! Imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson.
I am channeling the emotion.
I told you, folks. Either you agree or you disagree. But I'll tell you what, that was interesting rhetoric. Interesting rhetoric. And, again, that is his prerogative to say what he wants to say. And if I don't agree with what Charlie's spouting off about, or what anybody like him, decides to come in afterwards, representing, that Turning Point camp, we'll see. They do have the right to say what they want to say, as do our late night show hosts. Anyhow, sometimes, I've talked about this in the past too, that I believe it was the Museum of History in D.C., and they had, a couple of other places where they had anything to do with slavery, tried to, let's downplay that a little bit. Like, it's not as bad as it sounded, and you hear some of these crazy-ass senators that we have is, they actually bettered the slave because it gave them some, trade skills, whatever. But anyhow, the Trump administration had ordered now a historical marker to be covered up and or changed so that the rhetoric's not so bad because of its regard to slavery. Let's erase some more history. Check it on out.
The Trump administration ordered the National Park Service to make changes to a National Historic Site in West Virginia. According to the order, Harper's Ferry has to remove or cover up exhibits about slavery. Brad Bell reports from the site, where visitors are not in agreement with that request.
With its preserved buildings and exhibits, Harper's Ferry National Historic Site tells the story of abolitionist John Brown's 1859 raid on the federal armory here. He was after weapons to arm enslaved people to begin a war to end slavery. Well, there are also displays which tell of the hardships endured by those he aimed to free.
At the very heart of the interpretive array for this park is the story of American slavery and how people responded to that in the time of John Brown and that antebellum period.
But historian Alan Spears of the National Parks Conservation Association says he fears half of that story may soon be hidden.
So I'm worried. I'm worried and more than a little frustrated by this.
This is an order from the White House, first reported by the Washington Post, that the National Park Service remove or cover up about 30 signs or displays that have been determined by the Trump administration to disproportionately emphasize negative aspects of American history or historical figures. A park employee speaking to me anonymously today confirming that, yes, they have been ordered to remove or cover up this material, and they've been given just a matter of days to get it done. A source telling me that may include these displays inside the John Brown Museum, which tell of the suffering of enslaved people. Park visitors we speak to calling that a bad idea.
Don't cover up what we may need to know, and don't hide what you think we shouldn't know.
There were terrible things that happened, and we should feel terrible about it. And to cover it up or to hide it, I'm sorry, I just don't agree with it. I just don't.
During our time in Harper's Ferry, we saw no work to cover or remove any displays yet. We've asked the Park Service what will be taken down and when. We've not heard back.
Yeah, like it never happened. I believe that's what they're trying to say about the Holocaust, too, right? You'll hear some, the Nazi supporters saying, hey, that never happened. Nuremberg never happened. I don't know what you guys are talking about. So try to just erase it from history. I mean, candy coat it all, like nothing really ever happened. It's insane. Anyhow, hey, let's move on to some economic issues, and especially when it starts hitting the wallets of our farmers. And you know that the earlier this year, Trump was playing around with tariffs all over the place. 300% there, 400% there, 25 here, 10 there. Who knows? I don't know. It was like a bingo lottery. I have no idea how he decided who he was going to charge what. But in any regards, unfortunately, this trickle-down effect has happened to affect our American farmers, and especially those that raise soybeans, rather. And one of the biggest purchasers of soybeans is China. And China has decided that the combination of soybean prices, along with Trump's tariffs, they go shopping someplace else. Check it out.
Now at 5, trade tensions between the U.S. and China taking a toll on Hoosier farmers. One of the largest buyers of soybeans historically is now really backing off.
CBS 4's Claire Curry brings us more from one Boone County farmer who is seeing the impacts.
With acres and acres of soybeans, farms like Lawson Land and Cattle Company are not exporting any to China this harvest season.
Farmer Donnie Lawson is having to rethink his expenses for fertilizer and new equipment this month.
It's not only your gross income, but it's your net income.
China hasn't placed any new orders from Indiana or any other U.S. states at all in recent weeks.
It really doesn't come as any surprise that China's doing this. Any country that has an issue with the United States, the first thing they usually attack is agricultural commodities.
One of the 4 directors of the United Soybean Board, Tom Griffith, says this not only hurts the farmers, but the economy as a whole.
That means that anybody involved in the automotive industry, technology field, anybody who's built wiring harnesses, trucking, all these industries will suffer because of it.
His board has been working to weaken their dependence on China as they've predicted this for several years. Now other countries are starting to become larger purchasers instead.
You look at all the other different countries, whether it's Japan and all those that want our products.
Lawson is thankful to have a diverse set of crops to help stay afloat while the soybean industry takes a hit, and is hopeful that next season will be different.
I'm probably certain that the Trump administration will do something to offset the losses we're going to suffer this fall. It's going to be needed and welcome. But again, we would prefer just to have those open markets.
Reporting in Thorntown, Claire Curry, CBS 4 News.
Right? Hey, as any other country, when you're purchasing for your country, you're acquiring these various assets around the world. You're going to shop for the cheapest price. And hey, if the tariffs have drove up the price and now the U.S. farmers are suffering, and the other farmer that talked was correct, there's going to be a trickle-down effect, and there's been a lot of trickle-down effects lately from a lot of these different executive orders and tariffs that have been going on. And speaking of other things that are going on, I believe I covered last week, even the week before that, where the Trump administration is trying to get way in front of the induction of drugs into the United States across our borders. In fact, they're sitting right outside of the country of Venezuela, just blowing ships out of the sea. They've happened twice, and now it seems that they may be getting the country of Venezuela a little bit upset, because now apparently the Trump administration has staged some planes, jets, and other offensive weapons in Puerto Rico. Check it out.
Venezuela is preparing for war, conducting military drills on its island in the Caribbean amid the growing U.S. military presence in the region. World News Weekend anchor Glenna Milberg in Puerto Rico tonight.
Tonight, 5 U.S. F-35 stealth fighter jets right across the tarmac from the Ospreys, staging at the old Roosevelt Roads Naval Station south of San Juan, Puerto Rico. The U.S. military ramp up here and several other sites on this island, headlined as assets in the war on drugs in the Caribbean, clearly focused on Venezuela and its leader, Nicolas Maduro. Venezuela in defense mode, ordering intense training of its own on a Caribbean island 16 miles off its coast.
Today, our commander-in-chief has ordered us an exercise, a campaign maneuver. It's called Campaign Maneuver Sovereign Caribbean 200.
The drill meant to demonstrate Venezuela's sovereignty over that island territory, a response to the U.S. Navy warships now in the Caribbean and the warplanes here in Puerto Rico. The U.S. Department of War posting this picture on X of an F-35 Lightning jet, all meant to combat Latin American drug cartels.
We knocked off actually 3 boats, not 2, but you saw 2.
President Trump announcing this week the attack on and destruction of 3 alleged drug vessels leaving Venezuela, reportedly headed to the U.S. Video released of 2 of those strikes, at least 14 people on those vessels killed. Venezuela denies the claims, now accusing U.S. drug enforcement agents of planting drugs, showing off 3 tons of cocaine.
Toda su política.
And Colombia's president, accused of shirking responsibilities in the war on drugs, pushing back.
Señor está matando.
Sir, you are killing innocent young people. That is called murder.
The staging and the training, the most certain sign yet of what can only be called uncertainty for what's to come in our part of this hemisphere. Louis.
Yeah. So, okay, they're starting stuff down there. We'll see what happens. Wow, it'll be, see if Venezuela actually launches any type of offensive because they feel the transgression against them from the United States, and then once they launch an offensive, then all hell will break loose. We already know this. Speaking of all hell breaking loose, still over in Ukraine, Russia, yeah, that shit's still going on. It hasn't dialed back a bit. In fact, I think it's intensified. And in fact, it's intensified to the point to where some Russian drones have been invading Polish territory beyond the Russian borders and into Poland. And the Polish prime minister had a stern warning to Russia about their drones in Polish territory. Check us out. See what's going to happen next. This could be really bad, folks.
I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Radoslav Sikorski, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Poland.
Mr. President, Excellencies, this Emergency Security Council meeting has been called because a mere week after Russia sent drones into Poland, 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets with their transponders off entered Estonian airspace without authorization and lingered for 12 minutes. On the same day, 2 Russian fighter jets violated the security zone over the Polish drilling platform in our economic zone in the Baltic Sea. If these were accidents, why not immediately acknowledge them and apologize? We have given Russia a pass in the past in such circumstances. But we have not heard any apologies, only lies. Together with the intensification of attacks on Ukraine, they seem to be an eloquent comment on, quote, moving from confrontation to dialogue, end quote, promised by Vladimir Putin in Alaska. These breaches of airspace are suspect because they are an escalation of hybrid war which Russia has waged against the West for years. Murders of politicians, journalists, human rights defenders and defectors, cyber attacks against hospitals and financial institutions, arsons, including in Poland, UK and Lithuania, postal packages containing incendiary devices all over Europe, including Germany, attacks on Ukrainian embassies, in addition to standard espionage and disinformation. Excellencies, this Council has a responsibility to send a clear message that such provocations will not be tolerated. It must stand in solidarity with Estonia, Romania, Poland, and all nations whose sovereignty is threatened by systemic Russian aggression. To the representatives of Russia, I have this to say. We know you don't care for international law and you are incapable of living in peace with your neighbors. Your insane nationalism contains a lust for domination that will not cease until you realize that the age of empires is over and that your empire will not be rebuilt. Every drone strike by the heroes of the armed forces of Ukraine, may God bless them, brings this day closer. Your 3-day special military operation can't even conquer Donbass for 10 years now. But the potential for criminal, catastrophic Russian mistakes is still there. By ordering mobilization in 1914, you precipitated the start of World War I, which bled Europe white and led to your Bolshevik Revolution. By signing the Hitler-Stalin Pact, you helped launch World War II, the bloodiest in history. By Sovietizing Central Europe, you caused the Cold War. Don't start another one. We are peaceful democracies who have studiously avoided actively joining your attempt to reconquer Ukraine. But we will not be intimidated. I have only one request to the Russian government. If another missile or aircraft enters our space without permission, deliberately or by mistake, and gets shot down and the wreckage falls on NATO territory, please don't come here to whine about it. You have been warned. Thank you.
You have been warned, Vladimir. Mr. Putin will see. Yeah, and that's escalating. So, yeah, obviously there's still intense bombing going back and forth between Russia and Ukraine, and now you have the invasion into some of the other UN countries, i.e. Poland there, and you heard their prime minister speak. But whew, let's hope we can keep this all under control. Speaking of keeping things under control, and let's get back here domestically, because one of the most important things to us and to grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, it doesn't matter, is our family, our children, and we want to keep them safe. And it seems that, especially during school season, there are a lot of drivers who are either distracted, just don't care, or in too big of a hurry to stop, don't want to go blowing past the school bus when it has its stop out and they're picking up students. Well, there's some new technology that they're employing, and better watch out, because next time you just might get caught.
Layla, come here. No, wait! Stop!
The scenes are heart-stopping. Vehicles narrowly missing children, speeding by school buses with the stop arm out and lights flashing. This car nearly hitting 2 children waiting for the bus in Indiana earlier this year. And as more school districts begin classes across the country, a company called Bus Patrol is using AI-powered cameras on more than 40,000 buses in 22 states to catch vehicle violations. The Lower Merion School District outside Philadelphia is using the cameras this school year.
That stop sign comes out, those cameras start recording.
They took us on a routine bus route to demonstrate how it works, and in just 30 minutes, we saw several possible violations.
Okay, so we have the stop sign out.
This car ignoring the stop arm as it makes a turn past the bus.
That car that turned should have stopped.
So even across the street, they should have stopped.
Everything stops.
And multiple cars going past the bus on the other side of the road, failing to stop despite the flashing lights and visible stop sign. According to police, once a violation is identified on the camera, the company flags it to the local police department for review. And if they issue a ticket, it's a hefty fine, $300 in Pennsylvania for a first-time violation.
This system allows us to be at every stop for every school bus.
In the nearby Marple Newtown School District, police say they ticketed more than 2,000 drivers ignoring the stop arm since that school district installed the Bus Patrol cameras at the beginning of the 2024 school year. And the Lower Merion School District is hoping it'll make a difference here.
It's just not worth the chance of hurting a child and having to deal with that pain for the rest of your life.
A very good point, my friend. Yeah. Pay attention when you're behind the wheel for more than one reason, and especially when you're approaching a stopped school bus, people. Use your head. $300 fine, that's a good whack on your hand, and well-deserved if you do violate that particular law. Anyhow, hey, let's move on to one of the parts of the show that I know everybody like, and that is seriously, dude, what the fuck? I mean, I saw this, and it's like, you know, you have scandals about everything. Well, it can be the Olympics, whether, you know, Nancy Kerrigan got her knee smashed, or, you know, somebody, slipped some drugs into somebody's drink, or whatever the case may be. But apparently it transcended into the world of national, or the World Championship for Stone Skipping, which is held in Scotland every year. And apparently, some people just can't play by the rules, and they got to cheat even when it comes to skipping stones.
It's said, let him without sin cast the first stone. But what if you suspect someone is cheating in a stone-throwing competition?
Ooh, that very scandal has played out this very week in Scotland, with competitors in the World Skimming Championships accused of the very serious charge of stone tampering.
There's Wimbledon, the FA Cup, Royal Ascot, and the World Skimming Championships, where the best and brightest join the Brits.
I didn't expect it to be quite as international as it is.
To determine who will sink and who will skim.
Stone skimming is probably the most competitive sport in the world.
A global event of this stature can't be held just anywhere. It must be in the calm waters of Scotland, an island called Easdale, or as it's known once a year, Skim City.
God bless Easdale.
It's miles from anywhere, particularly here. Yet this week, 2,200 people from 27 countries flooded the town. World leaders, sporting greats, famous DJs, reality stars. A 370% increase on the island's usual population of just 60 people.
The atmosphere is electric, it's really vibey here, people from all over the world having a great time.
The annual stone skim can turn mate against mate.
Hello, Dougie.
Oh, right on. You got to be competitive and psychologically tough.
Luckily, the rules are as clear as the water. Entrants must select 3 stones on the island, abundant in naturally occurring local slate. Judges then defer to the ring of truth to check they're no wider than 7 centimetres.
Regulation size.
But this year, scandal has rocked the Stone Championship, because this Skim Shady wasn't alone. Several competitors disqualified for stone tampering after some were found to have been ground into a suspiciously circular shape to help them bounce on water. Scotland's own Sandpaper Gate. It's with great regret that we announce organisers have become aware of doctored stones being used by several competitors at this year's championships, the stone scrutineers announced. Not wanting to throw stones, they contacted the competitors in question, who admitted their transgression, with the rightful winners duly crowned. The Scottish skimming scandal solved, with no stone left unturned.
Well, now, you'll find cheaters everywhere. They had here in Northwest Ohio, on Lake Erie, the actual walleye capital of the world. They have walleye championships fishing, and some of the guys got caught putting the weights inside the fish. They'd shove it down in its belly to add a little extra couple ounces so they could win the event. They got caught. They got fined. They got their everything taken away from them. I think even the boat they used in that event. But can't even go to Scotland and skip a stone without finding a cheater. Oh yeah, where's the things are going nowadays? Anyhow, let's move on to another part before I conclude this, and that is who is going to win this week's Asshole Merit Badge. And this week's Asshole Merit Badge goes actually to a security officer. And security officer was maybe living the dream, thinking that maybe he was actually a real popo? Check it out.
Tonight, a man accused of pretending to be a police officer is now facing serious charges in Kitsap County. Prosecutors say the man went as far as responding to actual emergency calls with real officers. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Preston Phillips.
And I'm Molly Shen. KOMO's Jeremy Harris has new details about the investigation and what police have found out about this man. Jeremy?
Yeah, Molly and Preston, we learned today that Bremerton officers at first thought this guy was a real police officer who was backing them up on emergency calls. But those officers said small details didn't add up about his uniform and what he was saying about his job. Those officers at the time did not know this guy was a convicted felon who a judge said today poses a real risk to the community. From a police uniform to a jail jumpsuit, Michael Tietz now facing felony charges alleging he impersonated a police officer here in Bremerton.
While Mr. Scaletta Tietz does not have any in-state criminal history, he does have rather significant out-of-state criminal history.
A police report says a Bremerton officer responded to a call of a fire in this parking garage. When he got to the scene, he saw what looked like an undercover police car pulling up behind him with flashing blue lights. The officer says Tietz got out and identified himself as an off-duty Edmonds police officer who was working a security job nearby at the Salvation Army. The officer noticed Tietz had a full uniform with police and SWAT patches, handcuffs, and a body camera. The officer says he got talking with Tietz and his story didn't add up, including claims that he'd worked for the Baltimore Police, then the Thurston County Sheriff's Office, and now had been a gang detective with Edmonds for 2 years. Police say it was all a lie.
I did work as security there, and he was employed with the security firm.
Investigators tracked down the security company Tietz was working for. The boss said Tietz was absolutely not allowed to have a gun or police markings, and he wasn't supposed to leave the Salvation Army property.
The state referenced that there's information that he was harassing members of the community under the authority of law, and from what I understand, he was only engaging with police officers.
Prosecutors said Tietz's prior felonies prohibit him from possessing a gun and say his actions of impersonating a cop are a threat to the community.
He is alleged to have used false authority to harass members of the community. So the state has serious concerns over his over the safety of the community given those actions.
Now, a judge set his bail at $50,000. His prior conviction history includes charges for assault, burglary, escape, and a fake bomb threat hoax in Maryland back in 2015. Edmonds police say he had no affiliation with them whatsoever. Reporting live in Seattle, Jeremy Harris, KOMO News.
No, he just made a visit down to your local uniform shop and just came up with the, I need these uniforms, and then you can buy all that garbage there. If you want to spend the long dollar and pretend you're a cop, use it for Halloween and or get arrested for impersonating a law enforcement official. Wow. Anyhow, hey, folks, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned a little something tonight. And I hope you're looking forward more to your weekend so that you can get out there and just let loose and forget about everything that's going on around us. Enjoy life. Enjoy your freedoms while we still got them. And with that note, I'm out of here, and I'll see you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Hey, Donald. It's been a minute. We wanted to drop in and let you know the Epstein cover-up isn't working. You know why, right? It's not you. It's your team. Pam Bondi, you might think she looks hot, but she's really screwed up this cover-up. Kash Patel, he put 1,000 FBI agents on the Epstein files. Agents who read everything about you. Every mention, every secret. That's 1,000 people who can ask your secrets. Oops. Dan Bongino, he saw what was there. And now he's a loose cannon. Ready to leak. Ready to blow. Todd Blanche, his interview with Ghislaine Maxwell backfired. But you're too dumb to understand yet. Mike Johnson, he told people you were a snitch for the FBI. That didn't go well, did it? Carolyn Levitt, she's no Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is she? Thinner, sure, but dumb by a long shot. You know no one believes her. Your team is falling, Donald. No one buys the files. Even your own people know you're covering up something dark, something evil. You've tried everything to escape, but Jeffrey Epstein hurts you. All the women he abused, all the children he trafficked, all the girls he raped. Were you there, Donald? Did you watch? Participate? Did you hear their screams? Or did you cause them? You're covering up the Epstein files. But no one can cover up that forever.